Our journeys are so individual. Like everybody's journey is going to look different from the next person. So you might be following a similar path as someone else, but your own personal flavor, your own personal, flair, and your own, things that are happening to you and what that looks like for you is going to be so different from the next person. And I think sometimes we just subconsciously, because it becomes habitual, that we just, are scrolling, looking at friends and, people that are creators and stuff. And we see, this is how they did this is how they did that. Well, it's not looking like that for me. So I'm doing something wrong, or there's something wrong with me, when in actuality, like, our journey is so individualistic. And that's why we really, really have to fully rely on God for guidance, because so like what works for us and what might feel aligned, truly aligned within our soul, not because it looks good or it's inspiring, or this person went from point A to point B and this was kind of their path and their blueprint, and this is what they spoke on and whatever. And so then we kind of have it in our head that that's how it's supposed to look like for us. So we're supposed to get from point A to point B by doing X, Y, and Z, right? And it's so individualistic. Like, that's where we really have to turn inward and turn into our soul, because what their journey and what their path looked like for them to get from one point to the next point would look totally different than our own personal path. And so even though you may have the same, a similar destination, or whatever, that might feel really aligned for you, and that just really looks like where you want to be, it's still going to be an very individual journey of how you're going to get there. And so I think a lot of times, like, we compare our personal journey with someone else's. And like I said, even though there may be similarities and inspiration and, new ideas and new things that we can intake as a help and as a guide to help us, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're doing something wrong just because our path is looking totally different from getting from point A to point B than the next person. And, I myself am guilty of that too. So it's like, we really have to, truly feel like, just be present in the moment, like, really not judge ourselves too harshly for what looks like or what doesn't, what looks like this person or what doesn't look like this person. Like, we have to truly be fully in alignment with ourselves first, and not judge ourselves too harshly or try to compare our journey to someone else's journey, so much that we have to feel like we're following every step, every movement. Like, everything's gonna look different for each person individually. So it's like, live your own life, be present in your own life, be happy with your own life. Even if you have to take a break from social media, like, do that. You know what I mean? Because sometimes it can be too much. Like, our brains are not meant to be this stimulated 24/7 and constantly always, intaking so much information from the next person. So it can be really good to just kind of take a break from all that too, because it's overwhelming to our brains. Like, we become so overstimulated. And so, that's just something that's been heavy on me lately. Like, I really, so just all the comparative stuff, and especially when you become very habitually scrolling and just like constantly, like, watching other people and stuff, and it just becomes more of a habit. That's when it becomes almost subconscious, like, to us, that we're kind of subconsciously comparing our journey to the next person's journey. Like I said, it's a double-edged sword. Like, on certain level, it can be good and inspiring, but on a next level or another level, it can be detrimental. And so it really takes us out of our present moment and our present journey. For, like, if we're truly present in the moment, we're just going to be grateful for where we are and how far we've come and how much we've grown, regardless, and not thinking about what it's supposed to look like, or so heavily focused on where we feel like we need to be or we should be or whatever. it really takes us out of our true presence and our true creative spirit, like where we're just flowing in the moment and really just capturing the beauty of the moments, you know, because we're feeling like, oh, it needs to look like this, it needs to look like that. And then you're just over analyzing and comparing to the point where you're not even being joyful and present in the moment and grateful to be where you are. And you're just overthinking, you know, where where you're supposed to be or where you want to be, or, you know, why it's not looking like so and so's, you know, path or journey. And we all have our own beautiful journey and things to experience in this life and lessons to learn. So yeah, just always try to stay present in the moment and don't judge yourself too harshly. Like, just, you know, don't get in that loop, in that mind game of not feeling fulfilled because your journey is looking totally different from whoever is inspiring you at the moment. Like, we all have our own path, you know, and it's all beautiful in its own individual way. So